Hi, good morning, everybody. Um, and for my Catholic friends out there, um, have a reflective Good Friday. I'm not fond of doing videos, but being a Baha'i Children's Class coordinator and with our current situation, I feel this is the best way for me to reach out to more kids out there who might want to know a little bit about what War and Peace is. So I'm gonna do a quick book reading of this book, War and Peace. It was illustrated by Tony Gaff. So just a quick background on this book. This book was given by my good friend Milona. Hi Milona. And it was a gift for my son Bon, who's turning 9 this May. It was prompted by an FB post I made wherein Bon asked me, "Mommy, what is war?" I was really hard pressed trying to explain it to him, but this book helped a lot. So I hope the other mommies could benefit and the other kids out there can benefit from this book as well. So sharing this. And just a warning, I'm not really good at this and haven't done this before, but I do have some storytelling skills way back in high school, so hopefully that kicks in. So, there is usually no need to quarrel and fight. So, why do we do sometimes? Perhaps we want something we can't have, or we disagree about something, or we don't trust someone, or we just got out of bed on the wrong side. It may be somebody else's fault. It may be that they started it. We will probably think so. Or say so anyway. There are families who almost never disagree. If they do, they discuss calmly. They listen to each other's point of view. They try to understand. In the end, they reach a decision which pleases everyone. They don't fall out, and if they do, they quickly make up because they respect and love each other. But even families who argue all the time usually stand together when the family is threatened. And it is the same with groups of people. People who work together or play together or share common interests or opinions unite against rival groups. But when a bigger cause comes along, they unite with the rivals against the common foe. It is the same story with political parties and with nations. People rally to support their leaders. Just as each of us thinks that he or she is right, families, groups, politicians, and nations think that they are right. So when nations quarrel, we stand united behind our flag, our uniform, our beliefs, history, traditions, and culture, and behind our fighting men and women. But if we could see the other side, they feel and behave in the same way. They are just like us. If we only listened to the other side's point of view, we could often resolve problems and arguments without fighting. If we act in the heat of the moment, it is soon too late to avoid conflict. injury piles upon injury, insults upon insults, lie upon lie. Hatred of the foe and pride in ourselves fan the flames. Throughout history, nations have gone to war to acquire possessions, land, and slaves. Some became strong. They built great empires. Victory justified their actions. See there? They built great empires. But what is the consequences? Entire races were wiped out. And this has gone on right down to present day. Today, weapons are so devastating that war doesn't make sense. Nobody can win. Soldiers no longer see those they kill or maim at the push of a button. Wars destroy the progress of past generations, bringing their toil and aspirations to nothing. That is what war do, kids. Nothing makes a nation sadder than defeat. But even after victory, we sometimes have to accept bitter truths. Looking back, it is easy to see who was right and who was wrong. We know our country made mistakes, especially when wars were fought far from home. Years later, we still feel sad, angry, bitter, and guilty. So why do we make the same mistakes? Why do we go to war so readily? Why do we supply arms to dangerous leaders? Why don't we ask questions at the right time? And yet, as long as there is a danger, each nation has to be prepared. Each of us may have to answer the call. That is the craziest part. We should have learned by now that all people have a right to live the way they want, as long as they do not threaten the rights of others. It is easy to judge other people's problems, but when it is our nation's turn to listen, will we? It may take centuries for nations to learn to resolve disputes peacefully. There may need to be a world government with sufficient military strength at its command. Powerful nations may cede control of weapons. Weaker nations may agree not to arm. A peacekeeping force will keep enemies apart. It is hard to imagine, though, a world without war. So there are three ways in which nations may cease to fight each other. One is united against a common foe, like maybe an enemy from space. Another is less likely, a change in human nature, when people lose the taste for fighting. But the third is unthinkable, when we have destroyed each other. Wars produce supreme examples of human sacrifice and heroism. But how many are prepared to be branded a coward for refusing to fight? Who, when fighting in a just cause, will pray for forgiveness instead of victory? Who will forgive the enemy? Who has the courage to question the leaders? It is easier to make war than peace. In a peaceful world, when all nations and people live together as friends, neighbors, and family, we can still be heroes and enjoy triumphant victories over hunger, poverty, and disease. But we can't wait for nations, groups, or families to see sense. It has to start with each one of us. There are more of us than we can think. We can convince the others. Let's do something about it. Now, let's live in peace and let's share our world. War is just plain silly. War and peace. So before we end, so I hope the kids got engaged and the mommies too and the daddies. But I'd like to share one quote from the Baha'i writings. The earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. Thank you all.